The silence that sells. The chains around my wrists are silver, not enough to burn, but enough to remind me of my place. I've been sitting in this gilded cage of a carriage for 3 days now, watching the landscape change from the familiar pine forests of my pack's territory to the wild, untamed mountains that border the Lichen King's domain. My escort, Beta Marcus from the Shadowmere pack, hasn't spoken to me since we left. Why would he? I can't answer back. The carriage lurches over another pothole, and I press my face to the barred window, watching ancient stone towers pierce the mist ahead. The Obsidian Keep. Even from a distance, it looks like a fortress carved from nightmares, all sharp angles and brooding shadows, perched on a cliff that seems to defy gravity itself. Perfect, I think bitterly. A silent castle for a silent wolf. My fingers find the leather journal tied to my waist, my voice, my lifeline. I flip to a fresh page and write, "How much did they get for me?" When I hold it up, Marcus glances over and snorts. "More than you're worth, mute. Your father drove a hard bargain, claiming you were some kind of rare prize." His lips curl in disgust. "The king collects broken things. Guess you'll fit right in." I want to write that I'm not broken, just different, but what's the point? Marcus wouldn't understand. None of them ever did. The Midnight Creek pack values strength above all else. A wolf's howl is their currency. It calls the pack to hunt, summons help in battle, and most crucially, creates the mate bond that ties wolf souls together for eternity. Without a howl, I'm not just disabled, I'm incomplete. My wolf, Luna, stirs restlessly in my chest. She's been silent since the night everything changed, 12 years ago. The night the rogues came. The night I slammed the journal shut. Some memories are too heavy for paper. The carriage shudders to a stop, and my heart hammers against my ribs. Through the mist, the keep looms like a sleeping beast, its windows dark and soulless. No light, no warmth, no sign of life. Marcus opens my door with unnecessary force. Out. I stumble onto cobblestones slick with mountain rain, my legs stiff from days of confinement. The air here tastes different, wilder, charged with an ancient power that makes my skin prickle. This isn't just any territory. This is his domain. The massive doors of the keep are carved with wolves in various stages of transformation, beautiful, terrifying, and utterly silent. Just like me. They open without a sound. A figure emerges from the shadows within, and every nerve in my body goes electric. Tall, broad-shouldered, moving with the predatory grace of an apex predator. Even in the dim light, I can see the sharp planes of his face, the way his dark hair falls across eyes that seem to drink in the darkness around us. Theron Blackthorne. The Lichen King. He's younger than I expected, maybe late 20s, but there's an ancient weariness in his gaze that speaks of burdens carried too long. Power radiates from him in waves, making my wolf whimper and press closer to my spine. "You're smaller than I was told," he says, his voice a low rumble that seems to echo off the stone walls behind him. He's not looking at Marcus, he's studying me like I'm a puzzle he's trying to solve. Marcus clears his throat. "Your Majesty, as agreed," the mute in exchange for. I know what was agreed. Theron's tone could freeze hellfire. "You may go. But the payment has already been transferred to your Alpha's accounts." The king's eyes never leave my face. "Leave. Now." Marcus doesn't argue. Smart man. I hear the carriage wheels on cobblestone, growing fainter, until it's just me and the most powerful wolf in the continent standing in his courtyard while mist swirls around us like living things. "What's your name?" he asks. I reach for my journal, but his hand closes over mine before I can open it. His skin is hot against mine, almost burning, and I gasp at the contact. When did he move so close? Not with that, he says. I want to hear you say it. My throat works uselessly. I try to force sound past my lips, but nothing comes. It never does. The frustration builds in my chest like a scream that has nowhere to go. His grip tightens slightly. Try. The word hangs between us, not cruel, but demanding. I meet his gaze and see something unexpected there. Not pity. Not disgust. Something that looks almost like hope. I mouth the word, Elara. Elara. He says it like he's tasting it, rolling the syllables around his tongue. Do you know why you're here? I nod, then shake my head. I know the surface reason, payment for a debt, a novelty for his collection, but there's something in his eyes that suggests deeper currents. Your pack told me you were born without a howl. A genetic defect. He releases my hand, and I immediately miss the warmth. But defects don't survive 12 years in a pack like Midnight Creek. Do they, Elara? I stare at him. How does he? You're not broken, he continues, circling me slowly. You're wounded. There's a difference. My heart stops. No one has ever made that distinction before. I have a proposition for you, he says, stopping directly in front of me. I'll give you 30 days. If, in that time, you can make this castle sing, if you can bring music back to these halls, I'll give you your freedom. You can go anywhere, start over, be whoever you want to be. I fumble for my journal. And if I fail? His smile is sharp as a blade. Then I send you back to your pack. And we both know how that story ends. The threat hits me like a physical blow. Back to Midnight Creek? To my family's disappointment, the pack's ridicule, the constant reminder that I'm less than nothing? I'd rather die first. So what will it be, little songbird? His voice drops to a whisper that somehow carries more weight than a shout. Will you sing for me? I look up at this powerful, mysterious man who sees something in me that no one else ever has. The challenge in his eyes, the way he called me songbird instead of mute, the fact that he believes I can do this impossible thing. I nod. Good. He turns toward the keep's entrance. Follow me. And Elara? I look back at him. The music doesn't have to come from your throat to fill these halls. Remember that. As I follow him into the darkness of his castle, I can't shake the feeling that I've just made a bargain with the devil himself. But for the first time in 12 years, someone believes I'm capable of more than silence. Even if I have no idea how to prove them right. Chapter 2, The Castle of Broken Songs. The inside of the Obsidian Keep is a study in contradictions. Grand hallways stretch in every direction, their vaulted ceilings disappearing into shadows that seem to move of their own accord. Rich tapestries line the walls, depicting battles and celebrations from ages past, but they're all faded, as if the color has been slowly draining from them for years. And it's quiet. Not just peaceful quiet, dead quiet. The kind of silence that presses against your ears and makes you question whether you've gone deaf. This wing is yours, Theron says, gesturing to a corridor lined with ornate doors. You'll have full access to the castle and grounds. The only rule is the tower. He points to a spiral staircase that curves upward into darkness. That area is forbidden. I pull out my journal. Why? His jaw tightens. Because I said so. Fair enough. Every king has his secrets. He opens the first door in my corridor, revealing a bedroom that takes my breath away. The four-poster bed is carved from dark wood and draped in deep blue silk that matches the night sky visible through tall windows. A writing desk sits in one corner, already stocked with paper, quills, and ink. A bookshelf covers one entire wall, filled with volumes in at least 6 languages. "You read?" he asks, noticing my wide-eyed examination of the books. I nod enthusiastically. Books have been my companions since childhood. They never judge, never expect conversation, never make me feel broken for my silence. Good. You'll find some interesting titles there. He moves to the fireplace and snaps his fingers. Flames spring to life instantly, casting dancing shadows on the walls. Are you hungry? I realize I am, ravenous, actually. I haven't eaten a proper meal since leaving Midnight Creek. The kitchens are on the ground floor. Cook will prepare whatever you need. He pauses at the doorway. Tomorrow morning, I'll give you a full tour. You'll need to understand this place if you're going to make it sing. After he leaves, I sink onto the bed and let myself process everything that's happened. 3 days ago, I was sleeping in the Pax communal barracks, treated like a burden they couldn't wait to dispose of. Now I'm in a room fit for royalty, being asked to do something impossible by the most powerful wolf alive. Make the castle sing. What does that even mean? I pad over to the window and look out at the grounds below. Even in the moonlight, I can see this was once a place of great beauty. Gardens stretch toward the forest, but they're overgrown, wild. A fountain sits in the center of the courtyard, but no water flows from it. Everything feels dormant. Like it's waiting for something to wake it up. A soft knock on my door interrupts my thoughts. When I open it, a young woman with kind eyes and prematurely gray hair stands in the hallway, carrying a tray that smells like heaven. I'm Sarah, she says. Head of household staff. Though I suppose that's a generous title when there's only 3 of us left. She sets the tray on my desk, roast chicken, fresh bread, vegetables that actually look like they came from a thriving garden. His Majesty thought you might be hungry. I write quickly, thank you. Only 3 staff for this entire castle? Sarah's expression grows sad. Wasn't always this way. Once upon a time, this place was alive with people, music, laughter. She looks around my room wistfully. But that was before. Before what? Before the curse, she whispers, then immediately looks guilty. I shouldn't have said that. His Majesty doesn't like us talking about. She trails off, then forces a smile. Eat up, dear. You'll need your strength. After she leaves, I devour the meal while my mind races. A curse? That would explain the unnatural silence, the way everything feels suspended in time. But what kind of curse, and how does a mute girl with no magic break it? I'm reaching for one of the books on my shelf when I hear it, so faint I almost think I've imagined it. Music. Just a few notes, hauntingly beautiful and infinitely sad, drifting from somewhere deeper in the castle. I press my ear to the wall, following the sound. It's coming from above, from the direction of the Forbidden Tower. My wolf, Luna, stirs for the first time since we arrived. She wants to investigate, to follow that melody to its source. I want to as well, but Theron's warning echoes in my mind. The tower is forbidden. But the music, it calls to something deep in my soul, something that's been sleeping as long as my voice has been silent. Before I can talk myself out of it, I'm slipping from my room and padding barefoot down the hall. The stone is cold against my feet, but I barely notice. That haunting melody grows stronger as I climb the spiral staircase, each note seeming to resonate in my bones. The stairs end at a heavy wooden door, slightly ajar. Through the gap, I can see flickering candlelight and the edge of what looks like a piano. The music is definitely coming from inside. I push the door open just enough to peer through. My heart stops. Theron sits at a grand piano, his fingers moving across the keys with heartbreaking precision. The melody he's playing is the most beautiful thing I've ever heard, complex, layered, full of longing and loss. His eyes are closed, his entire body swaying with the music, and for the first time since I met him, he looks peaceful. But that's not what steals my breath. It's the fact that there's no sound coming from the piano. His fingers dance across the keys, his foot works the pedals, he's clearly playing a complex piece, but the instrument produces no sound at all. He's playing a symphony of silence, and somehow I can still hear every note. The melody reaches a crescendo, and his head tilts back in what looks like ecstasy or agony. I can't tell which. A single tear tracks down his cheek, and I realize I'm witnessing something incredibly private, incredibly sacred. I step backward, but my foot catches on the edge of the doorframe. I stumble, my hand shooting out to steady myself against the door, which creaks loudly in the perfect silence. Theron's fingers freeze on the keys. His eyes snap open and lock with mine through the gap in the door. For a heartbeat, we stare at each other, him caught in his vulnerable moment, me caught in my disobedience. The air between us crackles with something electric, dangerous. Then his expression hardens into fury. Get out. I don't need to hear his voice to understand his meaning. I flee down the stairs, my heart hammering so hard I'm sure it's audible throughout the entire castle. But as I reach the safety of my room and lean against the closed door, gasping, one thought echoes through my mind. He plays silent music. Just like I speak in silent words. Maybe we're not so different after all. Chapter 3, Languages of the Heart. I don't see Theron for 2 days. Sarah brings my meals, but she won't meet my eyes. The other staff member, a gruff groundskeeper named Tom, pretends I don't exist when I pass him in the halls. It's clear they know about my transgression, and they're not happy about it. Fine. I didn't come here to make friends anyway. I spend my time exploring the parts of the castle I'm allowed to access, trying to understand what Theron meant by making it sing. The more I see, the more I understand Sarah's earlier words. This place was once magnificent. I can see it in the faded tapestries, the tarnished fixtures, the dust-covered furniture positioned for gatherings that no longer happen. In the library, I find books on werewolf lore, ancient magics, and the history of the Lycan kings. One volume catches my attention, Songs of Power, How Music Shapes the Wolf's Soul. I settle into a window seat to read, and what I discover makes my blood run cold. According to the text, powerful werewolf bloodlines are inherently connected to sound and music. Their howls don't just communicate, they literally shape reality, influencing everything from weather patterns to the emotional state of their pack. The Lycan royal bloodline supposedly has the strongest connection of all, able to use music to heal, to inspire, even to break curses. But what happens when that connection is severed? The book suggests that a Lycan king without his song would experience a cascading silence, not just losing his own voice, but gradually draining the music from everything around him. The land would grow barren, his people would lose hope, and eventually, the very life force of his territory would fade away. I look around at the dusty library, the dying gardens visible through the window, the oppressive quiet that hangs over everything. Oh. A sound from the doorway makes me look up. Theron stands there, still as a statue, watching me. He's changed from the formal clothes he wore when I arrived into simple dark pants and a white shirt that's open at the collar. Somehow, this casual version of him is even more intimidating. Learning about werewolf mythology? His voice is carefully neutral. I hold up the book, then write in my journal, learning about why this place feels like it's dying. His jaw tightens. And what conclusions have you drawn? That we're both cursed. You can't make sound, and I can't hear the music you're playing. He goes very still. What did you just say? I write faster, in the tower. Your piano makes no sound, but I could hear every note. How is that possible? For a long moment, he doesn't respond. Then he moves deeper into the library, his steps echoing in the silence. You want to know about curses? His voice is low, dangerous. 3 years ago, I had everything. A thriving kingdom, loyal subjects, the ability to inspire hope with a single song. I was engaged to be married to a woman I thought I loved. He stops in front of a portrait I hadn't noticed before, a beautiful blonde woman with kind eyes and a gentle smile. Lady Catherine of the Silver Moon Pack. Perfect bloodline, perfect manners, perfect voice to complement mine. His fingers trace the edge of the frame. The night before our wedding, she came to me. Told me she'd fallen in love with someone else. My brother. I can't hide my sharp intake of breath. She begged me to release her from our engagement, and like a fool, I agreed. I thought I was being noble, putting her happiness above my duty. His laugh is bitter as broken glass. What I didn't know was that my dear brother had been planning a coup. Catherine's rejection was the final piece of his strategy, a way to humiliate me publicly, to make me appear weak before the pack leaders. What happened? The wedding was supposed to be the most powerful magical ceremony in decades. 2 royal bloodlines joining their songs, creating a bond that would strengthen both our kingdoms. Instead, he turns away from the portrait. Instead, I stood alone at the altar while 300 witnesses watched my bride marry my brother. The magical backlash from that level of betrayal and humiliation didn't just break my heart, Elara. It broke my voice. The pain in his words makes my chest ache. I know what it feels like to lose your voice, but to lose it as an adult, after knowing what it could do? I can't imagine. Where are they now? Dead. The word drops like a stone. The power they stole from me corrupted them. They tried to use royal magic without the discipline to control it. The feedback killed them both within a year. I'm sorry. Are you? He looks at me sharply. Or are you calculating how this information helps you complete your task? The accusation stings because there's truth in it. I am thinking about how his story connects to the curse, how it might give me clues about breaking it. But that doesn't mean I don't feel his pain. I close the book and stand, moving to where he's standing. Slowly, carefully, I reach out and touch his hand. He goes rigid at the contact, but he doesn't pull away. I write one-handed in my journal, both. I'm sorry for your pain and trying to help you heal. They're not mutually exclusive. Something shifts in his expression. The hard mask of the Leakin King cracks just slightly, revealing the wounded man beneath. You heard my music, he says quietly. How? I don't know. Maybe because I understand what it feels like to have songs trapped inside you with no way to let them out. Show me. What? You say you have songs trapped inside you. Show me. My pulse quickens. He's asking me to do exactly what I've been trying to figure out since I arrived, how to make music without a voice. I look around the library, at the dust motes dancing in the afternoon light, at the books that hold 1,000 stories, at this man who's lost everything and is somehow still standing. Then I start to move. I can't sing, but I can dance. I can't howl, but I can tell stories with my body. I begin slowly, letting my hands paint pictures in the air, a young girl running through forests, free and wild. My movements grow more complex as I tell the story of the night everything changed, of the rogues who came in darkness, of the terror that stole my voice and locked my wolf away. Theron watches, transfixed, as I show him pain, loss, the years of silence that followed. But then my dance changes, becomes something else, resilience, the beauty I found in quiet moments, the way I learned to speak without words. When I finish, I'm breathing hard, my heart racing from the effort and emotion of sharing so much of myself. That, he says quietly, was the most beautiful thing I've heard in 3 years. But I didn't make any sound. Didn't you? He steps closer, close enough that I can feel the heat radiating from his skin. Music isn't just sound, Elara. It's emotion, story, connection. What you just showed me, that was a symphony. For the first time since arriving at the keep, I feel a spark of hope. Maybe I really can do this impossible thing. Maybe we really can heal each other. But first, I need to understand exactly what we're up against. The curse, I write. How do we break it? His expression darkens again. We don't. It's not just about getting my voice back. The magic I lost was tied to my mate bond. Without Catherine. He shakes his head. The royal bloodline ends with me. What if you found someone else? Another mate? It doesn't work that way. Royal wolves have one true mate, chosen by fate and sealed by magic. Catherine was mine, and I was fool enough to let her go. He turns away from me. There's no second chance for someone like me. But as he walks toward the library door, I see something in his reflection in the darkened windows, something that gives me pause. Because when he looks at me, his eyes don't hold the emptiness I've grown used to seeing in my own reflection. They hold heat. Desire. Something that looks suspiciously like hope. Maybe he's wrong about second chances. And maybe that's exactly what we both need to believe. Chapter 4, The Language of Touch. I'm in the conservatory at dawn, practicing. It's the most beautiful room in the castle, all glass walls and soaring ceilings, designed to let in maximum light. Even in its current state of neglect, with vines creeping through broken panes and dust covering most surfaces, it feels magical. This is where I've been coming every morning for the past week, trying to understand what Theron meant about music being more than sound. If I'm going to make this castle sing, I need to learn a new language entirely. I start with simple movements, reaching toward the light streaming through the windows, letting my body follow the patterns of shadows on the floor. Gradually, I let the motion build into something more complex, a story told through the arch of my spine, the extension of my arms, the way my feet trace ancient rhythms on the stone. You're getting better. I spin around to find Theron standing in the doorway, coffee mug in hand. He's been doing this lately, appearing when I'm practicing, never commenting, just watching with those intense dark eyes that seem to see straight through me. I reach for my journal, but he shakes his head. Don't, he says. I'm starting to learn your other languages. Heat floods my cheeks. The way he says it, like my movements are intimate communications meant just for him. He sets his mug on a dusty table and steps into the room. Show me what you were working on. I was just. Without the journal, Elara. I bite my lip, then position myself in the center of the room. If he wants to see what I was working on, I'll show him. But this particular piece, it's dangerous. Too revealing. I begin to move, letting the story unfold through my body. It starts soft, tentative, a wolf pup learning to hunt, stumbling through her first lessons. But then it shifts, becomes something darker. The pup grows older, stronger, but something's wrong. She can't make the sounds the other wolves make, can't call to them when she's lost or frightened. My movements become sharper, more desperate, as I show her isolation, her family's disappointment, the way she learns to fade into the background of her own life. But then, transformation. The story changes as I dance the moment I met him. The way his eyes saw something in me no one else ever had. The way he challenged me to find my voice in other ways. By the time I finish, I'm breathing hard and dangerously close to tears. That wasn't just a dance, it was a confession. "You're afraid," Theron says quietly. I nod, not trusting myself to even write a response. Of failing the challenge? I shake my head. Then what? This time I do reach for my journal, because some truths are too big to speak without words, of succeeding. Of finding my voice and then having to leave. He goes very still. You don't want to leave. I don't want to leave you. The words hang between us like a bridge we're both afraid to cross. 3 weeks ago, I'd never seen this man. Now the thought of returning to my old life, of never seeing him again, feels like tearing away half my soul. Elara. His voice is rough with something I can't identify. I take a step toward him, then another. He doesn't move away, but tension radiates from every line of his body. I know what you think, I write quickly. That Catherine was your only chance at love, at breaking the curse. But what if you're wrong? I can't afford to be wrong. His hands clench at his sides. Do you have any idea what happens if this goes badly? If I let myself hope and then... I close the distance between us and place my palm flat against his chest, right over his heart. It's hammering against his ribs like a caged bird. Feel that, I write with my free hand, holding the journal where he can see it. That's not the heartbeat of a man who's given up on love. His hand comes up to cover mine, pressing my palm more firmly against his chest. His skin is hot through the thin fabric of his shirt, and I can feel the sharp intake of breath when I don't pull away. You don't understand what you're asking, he says, but his voice lacks conviction. Then show me. Something breaks in his expression. Before I can take another breath, his hands are framing my face and his mouth is on mine. The kiss is desperate, hungry, like a man dying of thirst who's finally found water. I melt against him, my journal falling forgotten to the floor as my arms wind around his neck. He kisses like he plays piano, with complete focus, total mastery, and devastating emotion. His hands slide into my hair, tilting my head to deepen the contact, and I hear myself make a sound I haven't made in 12 years. A whimper. Breathy and soft, but definitely sound. We both freeze. Did you just, he starts. I nod frantically, pressing my fingers to my lips in wonder. I made a sound. Not speech, not a howl, but something. It's starting, he whispers, and there's awe in his voice. The magic. It's actually starting. What magic? But instead of answering, he kisses me again. This time, it's slower, more exploratory, and when his lips trail down to my neck, I make another soft sound of pleasure. That, he murmurs against my throat. That's the most beautiful music I've ever heard. My wolf, Luna, stirs more strongly than she has in years. She likes his touch, his scent, the way his hands move over my skin like he's memorizing every inch. Is this how it starts? I manage to write when he pulls back. Breaking the curse? I don't know. His honesty catches me off guard. All I know is that when I touch you, when I kiss you, I can hear things I haven't heard in 3 years. Like what? Like hope. The moment is shattered by the sound of running footsteps in the hall outside. Tom bursts through the conservatory doors, his face pale with panic. Your Majesty, he gasps. They're here. The Midnight Creek Pack. They're demanding to see the girl. My blood turns to ice. No. Theron's expression hardens into something dangerous. How many? 20 wolves, including the alpha and his sons. They're armed. Get Sarah and secure the inner halls, Theron orders. No one gets past the main entrance without my permission. Tom nods and hurries away, leaving us alone in the sudden tension. They can't take me back, I write, my hands shaking. Please, they can't. They won't. His voice carries the absolute authority of a king, but I can see the calculation in his eyes. 20 wolves against one, even a Leakin king, aren't good odds. Especially not when his power is still mostly sealed. Why are they here? The deal was already made. I don't know, but we're going to find out. He touches my face gently, and I lean into the contact. Whatever happens, Elara, remember what just occurred between us. Remember that you made sounds, that the magic is waking up. Hold on to that. I nod, but fear is clawing at my chest. Just when I thought I might have found something real, something worth fighting for, my past has come to drag me back into silence. What if this was all they needed? I write desperately. What if they only sold me to you to see if the curse could be broken, and now they want me back to use whatever power I might have developed? Theron's expression goes murderous. Over my dead body. From the main hall, I hear the sound of heavy doors opening and my father's voice calling out, "We've come for our daughter, Your Majesty. We have new information about her condition." Theron and I look at each other, and I see my own realization reflected in his eyes. This was never about a debt or getting rid of me. This was about finding out if the silent wolf could actually sing. And now that they know I can, they want me back. Chapter 5, Songs of War. The Great Hall of the Obsidian Keep hasn't seen this much activity in years. 20 werewolves from the Midnight Creek pack stand in formation near the massive fireplace, their eyes gleaming with barely contained aggression. My father, Alpha Magnus Creek, stands at their center like a general preparing for war. I haven't seen him in 3 years, not since the day he looked me in the eye and said I was no daughter of his. He looks older now, gray threading through his dark hair, but his posture is just as rigid, his expression just as cold. Standing beside him are my brothers, Marcus, the eldest and heir to the pack, and David, who always took particular pleasure in reminding me of my defects. Both of them have their eyes fixed on me with an intensity that makes my skin crawl. "Your Majesty," my father says, inclining his head in what barely passes for a respectful bow. "Thank you for seeing us." Theron sits on his throne like he was carved from the same black stone as his castle. He's changed back into his formal clothes, leather and dark fabric that emphasizes every inch of his considerable presence. The crown on his head isn't flashy, just a simple circlet of silver, but combined with the aura of power rolling off him in waves, he looks every inch the king he is. I stand to his right, positioned so that I'm clearly under his protection but can still see everyone in the room. My heart is hammering so hard I'm sure everyone can hear it. "Speak your piece, Creek," Theron says, his voice carrying just enough boredom to be insulting. My father's jaw tightens. "We've come to retrieve our daughter. New information has come to light about her condition." "What information?" "She's not actually mute." Marcus steps forward, his eyes burning with greed. "We consulted with our pack's elder council, and they believe her condition was temporary. The result of trauma, not genetics." Lies. I want to scream it, but of course, I can't. They know exactly why I lost my voice, and it wasn't some temporary trauma they could wave away with convenient timing. And this discovery happened when, exactly? Theron's tone could cut glass. "When we felt the shift in power 2 days ago, David says, smirking. The entire pack felt it, a awakening of magic tied to our bloodline. Our daughter is connected to something significant, Your Majesty. We need to bring her home for proper evaluation. 2 days ago. The day Theron first kissed me. The day I made my first sounds in 12 years. I see. Theron leans back in his throne, studying them all like insects under a microscope. And you expect me to simply hand her over based on your feelings? With respect, Your Majesty, she was only loaned to you, my father says. The original agreement can be voided if circumstances change. Show me the contract. Magnus pulls out a scroll, and I watch Theron read it with growing dread. Whatever's written there, it's not good. I can see it in the way his jaw tightens. Interesting, he says finally. It seems your alpha was more clever than I gave him credit for. He looks directly at me. The contract states that if you develop any supernatural abilities during your time here, the original terms become void. My world tilts sideways. They planned this. They knew sending me to the most powerful Leaken King might awaken whatever dormant magic I carry, and they built in a clause to reclaim me once it did. However, Theron continues, his voice taking on a dangerous edge. There's another clause here that I don't think you considered carefully enough, Magnus. My father stiffens. What clause? The one that states if the subject forms a mate bond during their residency, all previous pack claims are permanently severed. Theron's smile is sharp as a blade. Tell me, Creek, do you know what happens when a royal bloodline recognizes its mate? The temperature in the room drops 10 degrees. Every wolf present goes utterly still, including me. Mate bond? That's impossible, Marcus snarls. She's defective. She can't form a proper mate bond without a voice to complete the ceremony. Is that what you think? Theron rises from his throne, and the power radiating from him makes several of the Midnight Creek wolves step backward. Elara, come here. My legs feel like water, but I move to stand beside him. His hand finds mine, and immediately I feel stronger, more grounded. Show them, he says quietly. Show them you're not broken. I don't understand what he wants until he lifts our joined hands and I see it, a faint silver light emanating from where our skin touches. It's barely visible, but every werewolf in the room can see it, can sense what it means. The beginning of a mate bond. Impossible, my father breathes. Is it? Theron's voice carries absolute conviction. She's my mate, Magnus. Chosen by fate, recognized by magic, and protected by every law of our kind. You have no claim on her. She hasn't accepted the bond, David protests. Without her voice, she can't speak the words to complete the ceremony. Watch me, Theron says. Before I can process what's happening, he's lifting me onto the dais, positioning me so I'm facing him directly. His hands frame my face, and I can see something fierce and desperate in his eyes. I, Theron Blackthorne, Leaken King of the Northern Territories, claim you as my mate, he says, his voice carrying to every corner of the hall. I offer you my protection, my loyalty, and my heart for as long as we both shall live. The words hit me like physical force. This is it, the formal claiming ritual. If I accept, I'll be bound to him forever. If I don't. The choice is yours, Elara, he says softly, meant only for my ears. But know that whatever you choose, I won't let them take you back to a life of silence and shame. I look out at my family, at the wolves who spent 12 years telling me I was worthless, broken, less than nothing. Then I look back at Theron, at this powerful, complicated man who saw music in my silence and beauty in my scars. The choice isn't difficult at all. I reach for my journal, but then I pause. This moment deserves more than written words. This moment deserves everything I have. I take a deep breath, reach for that place inside me where Luna has been hiding all these years, and I speak. The word comes out as barely a whisper, rough from disuse, but it's audible. I accept. The hall erupts. The silver light between Theron and me blazes brighter, spreading up our arms, surrounding us in a cocoon of magical energy. I can feel Luna stirring, stretching, beginning to wake up properly for the first time in 12 years. But more than that, I can feel him. His emotions, his thoughts, the depth of feeling he's been hiding behind his royal mask. Love, yes, but also relief so profound it takes my breath away. You're not alone anymore, his voice whispers in my mind, and I realize the bond is already allowing us to communicate telepathically. Neither are you. This is an outrage. Magnus roars. That bond is incomplete. She's not a royal bloodline, she can't sustain a connection to the Leakin King. Can't she? Theron doesn't take his eyes off me, but his voice carries clearly. Look around you, Alpha Creek. Tell me what you see. For the first time since entering the hall, I look beyond our little bubble of light. What I see makes my jaw drop. Color is returning to the faded tapestries. The crystals in the chandelier are beginning to sparkle again. Through the tall windows, I can see the fountain in the courtyard starting to flow, the gardens beginning to straighten and bloom. The castle is waking up. The curse, I whisper, wonder filling my voice, is breaking, Theron confirms. You're doing it, Songbird. You're bringing the music back. She's stolen power that doesn't belong to her. David shouts. She's not royal blood, she's nothing but a... Careful, Theron's voice drops to a growl that makes every wolf in the room bare their throat in submission. You're speaking about the future Leakin Queen. The words hang in the air like a physical presence. Queen. Me. The mute, broken girl who wasn't worth keeping. But as I stand here, power flowing through me for the first time in my life, I realize something crucial. I was never broken. I was just waiting for the right person to help me remember how to sing. This isn't over, my father says, but his voice lacks conviction. The magic surrounding Theron and me is undeniable, and every werewolf law supports our bond. Yes, Theron says calmly, it is. Guard. Tom appears as if from nowhere, followed by Sarah and what looks like a dozen other staff members I've never seen before. Where did they all come from? Escort our guests to the border, Theron orders. Make sure they understand that any future attempts to contact or claim the Queen will be considered acts of war. Queen. The title sends shivers through me. As the Midnight Creek wolves file out, Marcus stops near our dais and looks up at me with pure hatred. You think this changes anything? He hisses. You think putting on a crown makes you less of a freak? Before Theron can respond, I step forward. The words come easier now, my voice growing stronger with each syllable. It makes me free, I say clearly. And that's all I ever wanted. After they're gone, Theron and I stand alone in the great hall, still glowing with mate bond magic, still processing everything that just happened. So, he says finally. We're mated. We're mated, I agree, testing how the words feel in my mouth. Any regrets? I look around at the castle coming back to life, feel Luna stretching joyfully in my chest, sense the completeness I never knew I was missing flowing through our bond. Just one, I say. His face falls. What? That it took us this long to figure it out. His smile could power the sun. Well, we have the rest of our lives to make up for lost time. Promise? Promise. And when he kisses me this time, I swear I can hear music. Not just in my head, but echoing through the castle walls, flowing through the gardens, carried on the wind to every corner of his territory. Our territory now. The song of the silent wolf finally found her voice. Chapter 6, The Symphony of Forever. 1 month later. I wake up in Theron's bed, our bed, to the sound of actual music drifting through the windows. Not the imagined melodies I used to create in my head, but real instruments being played by real people in the gardens below. The curse breaking didn't just restore Theron's voice and awaken mine. It brought life back to the entire territory. People returned, drawn by the magic flowing from the keep. Musicians, artists, craftsmen, families, all coming home to a place that had been silent for too long. You're thinking very loudly, Theron murmurs against my neck, his arm tightening around my waist. The mate bond has its perks, but privacy isn't one of them. We're still learning how to maintain our individual thoughts while sharing our deeper selves. Good morning to you too, I think back at him, enjoying the way he shiver when I project directly into his mind. Careful, love, he warns, his voice rough with sleep and something else. Keep that up and we'll be late for our own coronation. Right. The coronation. In approximately 6 hours, I'll officially become the Leakin Queen, which still feels surreal enough that I keep expecting to wake up back in the Midnight Creek barracks. I turn in his arms so I can see his face. His hair is mussed from sleep, there's stubble along his jaw, and his eyes are still soft with the vulnerability he only shows me. He's beautiful, and somehow, impossibly, he's mine. Nervous? He asks, reading my expression easily. Terrified, I admit. My voice has been getting stronger every day, but it still feels like a miracle every time words actually come out. Want to know a secret? He traces patterns on my bare shoulder, and I have to fight not to get distracted by the sensation. The day I was crowned, I threw up twice and nearly passed out during the ceremony. That's very reassuring, thank you. My point is, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be yourself. His expression grows serious. The same woman who danced stories in my conservatory, who saw past my anger to the loneliness underneath, who had the courage to accept a mate bond that could have killed us both if we were wrong. Were we? I ask. Wrong, I mean? Instead of answering with words, he lets me feel the truth through our bond, the absolute rightness of us together, the way our magic intertwines like melodies in a perfect harmony, the sense of coming home I never knew I was searching for. Never, he says aloud. A knock on the door interrupts us. Your Majesties? Sarah's voice is carefully neutral, but I can sense her amusement through the walls. The seamstresses need final measurements for Her Majesty's gown. Coming. I call back, then blush at Theron's raised eyebrow. My voice is still recovering, and sometimes it comes out louder than I intend. We should get up, he says, but he makes no move to release me. We should, I agree, settling more firmly against his chest. We lie there for a few more minutes, listening to the sounds of a castle preparing for celebration. Somewhere in the distance, I can hear Tom shouting orders at the gardening crew, Sarah organizing the kitchen staff, and musicians practicing fanfares in the Great Hall. It's chaotic and loud and absolutely perfect. I love you, I say suddenly, the words spilling out before I can second-guess them. Theron goes very still. We've been mated for a month, sharing thoughts and feelings through our bond, but we haven't actually said the words yet. Too much has been happening too fast, too many changes to process. Elara. He starts. You don't have to say it back, I hurry to explain. I know this all happened quickly, that maybe what you feel is just the mate bond, and... He silences me with a kiss that's soft and sure and full of everything he can't quite put into words yet. I felt it before the bond, he projects into my mind, letting me experience the memory from his perspective. That first night, when you danced for me in the library. I thought I was broken beyond repair, and then you showed me that broken things can still be beautiful. Tears prick my eyes. You saved me. We saved each other. Another knock, more insistent this time. Your Majesties, if you don't come out soon, I'm sending Tom in there with a bucket of cold water. She'll do it too, Theron says, grinning. Sarah has no respect for royal authority when it comes to keeping schedules. We finally drag ourselves out of bed and into the organized chaos of coronation preparations. The next several hours pass in a blur of fittings, rehearsals, and last-minute decisions about ceremony details. My dress is a masterpiece, deep blue silk that brings out my eyes, with silver embroidery that catches the light when I move. The crown they've made for me is delicate but strong, designed to complement Theron's without overshadowing it. You look like a fairy tale, Sarah says, tears in her eyes as she makes final adjustments to my veil. I feel like one too, I admit. The kind where the princess actually gets to save herself. And the prince, Sarah adds with a knowing smile. As the sun begins to set, we make our way to the Great Hall. It's been transformed for the ceremony, flowers everywhere, candles casting dancing shadows on the walls, and what looks like half the supernatural population of the continent filling every available space. Representatives from every major pack are here, along with delegations from the vampire courts, the Fey territories, and even a few human diplomats who work with the supernatural community. This isn't just a coronation, it's a statement that the Northern Territories are back in power. As we approach the dais where the pack elders wait, I catch sight of a familiar group near the back of the hall. My breath catches. Is that the Midnight Creek delegation? Theron confirms grimly. They have a right to attend, as part of our extended territory. My father and brothers stand with a group of their pack members, all dressed formally for the occasion. Magnus looks like he swallowed something sour, but he's here. They all are. Are you okay? Theron asks through our bond. I consider the question seriously. A month ago, seeing them would have sent me into a panic. But now, standing here in my coronation gown with my maid at my side and real power flowing through my veins, I feel nothing. No fear, no anger, no desperate need for their approval. Just pity for people who were too blind to see what they had. I'm perfect, I tell him honestly. The ceremony itself is beautiful and ancient, full of rituals that connect us to centuries of werewolf tradition. When the time comes for me to speak my vows, to promise to protect and serve the people of the Northern Territories, my voice rings clear and strong throughout the hall. I, Elara Blackthorne, accept the crown and the responsibility it represents. I vow to lead with wisdom, to protect with courage, and to never forget that strength comes not from the sounds we make, but from the love we choose to share. The crowd erupts in applause, but all I can see is Theron's face, the pride and love shining there so bright it takes my breath away. As the formal part of the evening winds down and the celebration begins, I find myself standing on the castle's main balcony, looking out over our territory. Lights twinkle in the village below, music drifts up from the gardens, and everything feels alive in a way it hasn't for years. Your Majesty. I turn to find my father approaching, alone. He looks older in the moonlight, more fragile than I remember. Alpha Creek, I say formally. I wanted to. He stops, seeming to struggle with words. I owe you an apology. I wait, not making it easier for him. We were wrong, he says finally. About your condition, about your worth, about what you could become. I let my disappointment blind me to your potential, and I'm sorry. The apology I've been waiting 12 years to hear, and now that it's here, it feels almost anticlimactic. Thank you, I say. That means something. Is there any chance? He looks hopeful. Could you ever forgive us? Come home for visits, perhaps? You're still our daughter, after all. I consider his request, feeling Theron's presence nearby even though he's giving us privacy for this conversation. I forgave you a long time ago, I tell my father honestly. But this is my home now. These are my people. I'm not the broken girl you remember, Magnus. I'm exactly who I was always meant to be. He nods, disappointment and acceptance warring on his features. I hope you'll be happy. I already am. After he leaves, Theron joins me on the balcony, wrapping his arms around me from behind. How do you feel, Your Majesty? He murmurs against my ear. Like I'm exactly where I belong, I say, leaning back against his chest. And where is that? I turn in his arms, seeing our whole future reflected in his dark eyes. Wherever you are. When he kisses me this time, I hear it again, that perfect symphony of two hearts, two voices, two souls finally singing in harmony. The music we make together isn't just sound, it's pure magic, pure love, pure completion. As we break apart, breathless and glowing with mate bond energy, I realize something profound. I spent so many years believing I was broken because I couldn't howl like other wolves. But I was never meant to howl. I was meant to sing. And now, with Theron's love surrounding me and an entire kingdom to protect, I finally have a song worth sharing with the world. Forever? He asks through our bond, echoing the question he asked me that first day. Forever, I promise back. And in the distance, carried on the wind from every corner of our territory, I swear I can hear our people singing along. Epilogue, 1 year later. The nursery is painted in soft golds and silvers, with murals of wolves running through moonlit forests covering the walls. Theron insisted on painting them himself, spending weeks getting every detail perfect. I stand in the doorway, one hand pressed to my rounded belly, watching him put the finishing touches on a mobile that plays a gentle lullaby when the wind catches it. Do you think they'll be able to hear it? I ask, running my palm over where our pup kicks and turns. I think they'll be able to hear everything, he says, coming over to place his hands over mine. Your voice, my voice, the music of the castle, the songs of the pack. Through our mate bond, I feel his wonder at the life growing inside me, his fierce protectiveness, his absolute certainty that this child will be loved beyond measure. And if they can't? I ask. If they're born silent like I was? Theron's smile is soft and sure. Then we'll teach them all the other ways to sing. We'll show them that music comes from the heart, not the throat. And we'll love them exactly as they are. I lean back against his chest, feeling our pups settle as if they can sense their father's presence. I love you. I love you too, Songbird. Both of you. Outside our window, the kingdom we've built together spreads out in all directions. A place where broken things are treasured, where silence is just another kind of music, and where love really can conquer anything. The song of the silent wolf finally found her voice. And she used it to build a symphony that will last forever. The end.